Welcome to All Girls Final. It's our Survivor recap, and I just want to let you guys know I did not watch it.
Oh my gosh.
I was this close.
I was really sitting at home thinking, this is good that Courtney's watching this tonight.
I did record it.
Whatever.
Can we talk about it next week, about this week?
Let her have some time.
I'm sorry, but I know Afton already talked about last night's episode a tiny bit because a big moment happened that is a headline everywhere.
Yes, immediately. Like, first off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Hit it. Christian pooped his pants.
Christian spewed in his pants. And the fact that they made it the top of the episode, it was the first thing that you saw. Jack hadn't even walked in the room yet. He was still getting situated from the night, and I was like, you gotta get in here. They blurred his ass.
Do you think they blurred it though, just to blur it?
No, they said the people on the beach were saying that it looked like he had sat on a banana.
Oh.
Yeah. It looked like he had sat in something.
Oh,
yeah, that's
no.
Mm-hmm. And my 8-year-old daughter, Jenna, was watching the beginning with me up until the reward challenge. And she could not get over it that he pooped his pants. She was laughing so hard. And then, he changed clothes. And when they were on the platforms waiting for the reward challenge to start, she was like, pause it. Point to the guy who pooped his pants. I gotta know who it was. And she just laughed.
See, what a family show Survivor is. Bringing families together one episode at a time. So it was right off the bat. They just show them in their camps, and this happened.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't really understand because a lot of times on Survivor, they go all these days without eating. And usually it's when you get a reward that they have stomach issues after because they just binge all this craziness. But so at this point, they've been there for 4 days, I heard someone say. And I'm like, where are the stomach issues coming from if you've not really been putting much besides coconut into your stomach?
I mean, maybe it's just from the real world to coconut only.
Yeah, but coconut is bad. They tell you, people that drink coconut water, they're like, if it's something your body's not used to, it is hard on you.
Is it?
Yes.
So there you go.
Well,
but how has it not been an issue?
Did you hear him mention, he was like, this happens to survivors a lot. I think because it's the 50th season, it's a little bit more fun and playful because we know the characters, but I also think they're just breaking the fourth wall more. And can you imagine if 20 seasons ago, they were like, well, there goes Jenna with her poop in her pants.
Right. That's right. Well, I kind of put a note about that too. I feel like you were talking about breaking the fourth wall. I feel like
Kasey, to raise your levels a little bit. You're a little lower. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I feel like this is the most that we have seen of producers and production and things like that already. Only 2 episodes in, I feel like we've seen a lot of them, a lot of talking to the producers, a lot of that kind of interaction that we typically don't get as much of.
Yeah.
Which I've kind of enjoyed.
Me too. I wrote that down about where to go. What's his name? Coach. So someone was swimming in the ocean and he got a cramp in both of his legs and couldn't keep swimming. And so they showed a boat, I guess, of swim assistants come over and help him into the boat, take him back to the island. And it wasn't like a rickety old wooden boat. It is a raft with a motor on it. And that was the first time I've ever seen them do kind of an in-water rescue in such an open way.
They kind of always have somebody close by whenever they're out in the water, which makes sense, but you don't think about it.
I just think about little cameramans swimming out there. I don't think about, somebody watching over to them in case they get hurt.
Yeah.
Well, so last night on the episode that I have not watched yet, did they show a castmate that hasn't really been a focus in the previous episode?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like we got to see more of Chrissy, not in a positive way, in a negative way, but still we hadn't really seen much.
That's what I was going to say, too, because I'm not so familiar with Chrissy, and they didn't show anything of her in the first episode. And it's kind of sad that I think they're building up her character right now in not a great way. They're explaining why she's annoying around camp, which leads me to think within the next couple episodes, she might be gone.
Agreed.
Or on her way, because they're already planting the seed of everybody's annoyed with Chrissy.
Yeah.
Were you annoyed with Chrissy?
I don't think I saw enough to fully get there.
Yeah, she didn't bother me, but they definitely are starting to tell that story. But I could see how if that was constant what they were showing, how it would be annoying. And it's also a lot of younger people on that tribe. And so they are like...
How old's Chrissy?
I don't know what. I mean,
I would put her in her at least late 40s.
Yeah. Agreed.
At the youngest.
So you guys are all ages for us old uns.
The issue with her is that she's like momming the tribe. She's like, oh, your leg hurts. Let me massage it.
Who's going to start the fire?
Right. Who's going to clean up? Should I clean up?
I think we should do this. I think we should do that. And so they're getting a little annoyed
Bugged.
with her. Mm-hmm.
Who was the winner last night? We'll talk about who's gone, but who really stood out as they had a great episode last night.
Our quote, like winner of the week, if that's what we're getting at, the person who we would make a pick to potentially win the game. I stuck with my duo from last week, Christian and Rick Devons, after they made the incredible play at the very end of the episode by planting a fake idol at tribal council for, I assume, the first time ever.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever been done before.
What, the fake idol, planting it there?
Planting it at tribal council. So they made a fake idol with a note.
It made it look like somebody was going to be confident that they had this idol when they go to tribal council.
Right, they'll be at tribal, they'll see it, and they'll think, no way, there's an idol here at tribal.
How great is that? I mean, I don't really understand, but I do understand.
Well, and Devin said, what they could do is use it as a bluff. So the two of them, Christian and Devons, know that it's there. And so they could come to tribal if they feel like they're on the chopping block and go, look, I have a clue. Here it is. And now I'm going to play this. And then people won't want to waste their vote on them. So they'll vote for somebody else, even though it's a fake.
Do you agree on the winners of the week?
I picked a different winner of the week, but I think that moment was huge. And Christian falling to create a diversion so they're leaving to get their tribal's over, they go to get their torches, and Christian's goal was to distract everybody so that Devons could plant this idol. Well, he falls and they're all like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like helping him. And it was all just a diversion. It was so funny.
It was so funny because it was so real.
Yes.
When he fell, because he's such a clumsy, nerdy guy, it seems believable. When he fell, Jack looks up and goes, oh my God, do you think he's okay? I was like, yeah, he's okay. He's going to win the game.
But you thought that was funny.
I did, but I picked, for my winner of the week, I picked Cirie. I thought this was classic Cirie. Ozzy said it was Cirie magic. She just finds a way to talk to people, even though they know her. They know she's dangerous. They know how good she is at this game, but she was able to keep the heat off of her. It wasn't even on her, and get it off of Ozzy to get Savannah out.
A tier 1 showing of what Cirie does. Even Savannah was like, you know what, guys, I think Cirie's really giving us the runaround because she's protecting Ozzy and Ozzy's protecting Cirie, and that's what's happening that we don't see. And everyone listened to Cirie and voted Savannah out.
Savannah was so
one.
Right.
Yeah.
And she saw it all coming, and nobody listened to her, and they listened to Cirie. And this is what Cirie does, which is why she's so good. And so to me, that was just classic gameplay. It was kind of a masterclass in the social game.
Yeah, but the social game also helps you more if you are a Cirie and people know you. You would think it would work against you, but they're watching somebody that they looked up to, so they want to be close with her, and they're like, well, I'll be different. She'll be different to me because we have a connection.
That is exactly what happened.
And Savannah doesn't mean anything to anyone. They hadn't even seen her season.
Right.
So she's a total stranger.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about the devil you know and the devil you don't. Because even though Savannah was on it and she's a better physical asset to their tribe, I think she really did bring a lot to the table in ways that Cirie couldn't. But it's easier to just run with Cirie, who's telling you everything you want to hear.
Yeah, because you want to be that special person that Cirie bonds with.
I think I would be that special person.
See, I know people like that, and it's Afton.
She'll get played.
It'll be different. We're best friends.
Yeah, I can tell the way she talks. I've watched the show. I can tell the way she talks to people, and she's talking to me differently. We're tight.
100%.
So what was the big moment of yesterday? How were the challenges last night?
I thought the challenges were really great. I've been really impressed with them and just the variety of skill sets they bring to each one. I was so impressed with Mike White.
I'm telling you, he showed up prepared for the first time.
First round, he goes up against, Joe, who's just a super muscly, tough guy, and who? Was Ozzy the other one?
Maybe Joe and Ozzy. One's a firefighter, one's Tarzan. And little Mike White shows up in his brand new abs. And
first one across. He beat both of, I don't know, it wasn't Ozzy, it was somebody else, but two really strong competitors. Mike White beats them both across. He's first across all the balance beams and the swimming and the whole deal. It was impressive.
Yeah. I've really been liking him this season because I also think he just showed up with a new, more confident personality. He's normally so shy and quiet and just, trying to find the connections where he can without stepping on toes. And this season, he just looks like he's there to have fun. He doesn't really care what happens. Obviously, he doesn't need the money. He's just having an experience.
Yeah, this is White Lotus Mike White.
Yeah, he's more confident because he's a hit. Mm-hmm. Not that School of Rock wasn't, because it was, and he's been in this business for a long time. But everybody's talking about Mike White for the past few years.
Yes, and you can tell. I mean, it's just, it comes through on everything that he's doing. So I thought the challenges, again, were really even. I didn't feel like I was worried that we were just going to see
that same tribe.
And I mean, it was the same tribe that went back to tribal, but they won in the reward, and it was the pink team that lost Kyle. I thought it was going to be kind of a downward spiral for them after that. But then in the immunity challenge, they turned it around and Orange ended up going back to tribal again. But I thought they were really good challenges.
Are you thinking that the Orange is destined to go to tribal council week after week now until they're all picked off? What are you thinking?
I mean, this happens. At least more seasons than it should. It happens where one tribe just fully gets taken with the undertow and they're at tribal every single week. But we found out that next week they're dropping buffs, switching tribes.
Oh, good.
Yes, they're going to do it already, which I think is a good call.
I do too. Before you lose all these, they're probably worried about losing some of their best players too.
I think they are. Yeah. And I think it makes sense. Keep everybody on their toes because some of these alliances are already getting really powerful.
Do you think, watching the show as many times as you have, all the seasons, do you think sometimes if things aren't going their way, they know behind the scenes to change it up to make it play better?
I do.
Do you think this was the plan all along, or do you think they had meetings after the first two episodes that they filmed and said, all right, we're going to change up tribes?
I'm going to take the other side and say I don't think so. I think everything is mapped out on a calendar, but that's only because I've listened to an interview of Jeff Probst kind of explaining their workflow and saying we couldn't come up with stuff like that on the fly. We've only got so many moves to make, and they're made strategically before people even get to the island.
I just think when you've got a big production like this and so many producers involved, that they've got certain levers that they're ready to pull. And yeah, they're probably mapped out in advance, but they could pull this one a little bit earlier if they start to see it trend a certain way, especially with season 50, because you want this one to be epic.
Exactly. I would say especially season 50, after they've put so much press and money and work into this, they need it to live up to its standards.
So last night, do you think that I wanted to ask you about the idol that they faked. Nobody saw that idol when they went to tribal council?
Didn't seem like it.
It was also the last scene of the episode. So they put it there, and then next week we'll see people enter tribal to see if anybody sees it.
Okay.
But it looks pretty hidden.
Yeah, it does. Now that you brought up them using it as a bluff, I think that's the plan. So I don't know if that anybody else is even going to notice it.
Because there's never been one at tribal.
No.
Yeah.
And who was the big, the person that you really are rooting for after last night's episode? Somebody that maybe you weren't rooting for before, but you have a soft spot for them.
I mean, I'm not rooting for Aubry, but I did have a little bit more of a soft spot for her. I felt like you mentioned Kasey in the first episode. She just seemed a little off, a little different. And she explained that a little more in this episode, that she's been kind of beaten down by Survivor over the years. And so I did feel for her. She went through, she's a former winner, right? Didn't she win?
Either she won or she was runner-up.
She was close, yeah. But she's a really good player. She's played a couple of times, and I guess on her more recent seasons, things were much tougher for her. And so she's a little bit mentally in a different place than we've ever seen her. And there was a little more explanation to that gave me a softer spot for her, although I don't particularly care for her to win.
Right. I have contradicting thoughts on Aubry because she was my one and only teardrop for Kasey's cry count.
Oh, yes.
She got me a little teared up whenever she received the boomerang idol from Christian, and she realized that when she feels so alone, she's got someone else on the island who's looking out for her, even though they're not there together. That got me. But also, I don't particularly like Aubry. I don't like the way that she's overanalyzing everybody on her tribe and making it seem like she's looking at them from the outside in. Mm-hmm. Just get in there, make your connections, because this is what happens when you isolate yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Now, watching 49 seasons of Survivor, is there something that you're hoping they bring back?
I think a loved one visit would be big.
That'll be later, right?
Yeah, but they used to always do that at a certain point. Your family members would come and they would either compete with you or they would be there to root you on or something like that, and then they would get to stay at camp. I always thought that was really special. I'd like to see them bring that back.
That was my thought too, because a loved one's visit, now that is going to make Kasey cry. That's going to get me teared up. But when they read the letters, I just don't care as much. I actually find myself picking up my phone during those scenes because I don't know your dad. I don't know what he looks like. Okay, he wrote you a letter about things that we don't connect on. But if he's there and he's yelling your name and he's crying for you and he just made this journey to Fiji to see you win and now you've lost the challenge and you can't spend the day together, that's going to get me. So I wish they would bring back the loved ones visits permanently. I understand why logistically it's harder than it looks.
And what was a big moment that stood out to you last night?
Let me check my notes. What else did I put in here? Oh, I thought that the Joe management was interesting. They talked a lot about Joe management.
They talked a lot about Joe management last night, and I'm surprised by the way that Joe's attitude has become kind of sandpaper. The last time we saw Joe, he was so warm and taking care of everybody.
He was likable.
Dad figure. He was so likable. We were so excited to see Joe come back to this season. And after last night, when he popped off at Rick and kind of everybody, and then Rick Devons popped off back at him.
Yes.
That really surprised me. And I'd like to see Joe get moved to a new tribe to see if it affects his attitude.
I think that will definitely help because I do like Joe, but this made him very unlikable.
Yeah.
And them talking about how they basically have to tiptoe around him to be able to get anything done from a vote perspective on their tribe was very interesting because that's not at all who he was on his season. I also made a note that I was glad to see the giant snakes were back.
The 100-pound snakes, I'd like to try it myself. I got to know how hard it is.
They have these giant, in my mind, they're like foam, like they're soft, like a pillow or something. But they're like these giant snakes that they have to carry from, during challenges. They had to run them a really long way. I think they said they're 200 pounds. They're massive.
For someone who's not eaten or slept or had an adequate amount of water, it seems impossible how they move these things around.
Yeah, they've been a recurring element in past seasons, and we haven't seen them for a while, so I was glad to see the return of the giant snakes.
Another thing I want to bring up before I forget about it is that we had a bag search.
Oh, yes.
So last night, Genevieve, who's found an idol herself, she found an idol in the first episode. She says, Aubry over here on my tribe has been really clinging to her bag. It's making me suspicious. I'm going to do a bag search. So whenever Aubry eventually leaves her bag to go to do whatever she was doing, Genevieve and the tribe come together to say, you be the distraction, you be the lookout man, you go through the bag. And they do a full search on Genevieve's bag.
What could be in the bag that they're worried about?
An advantage or an idol.
And she's the one that has an idol.
Now, luckily, at the time, it hadn't gotten to her yet. She hadn't been sent it yet. So at the time, they didn't find anything. But she was sent an idol probably that same day. I'd like your thoughts on a bag search.
I don't love it. I don't think it's right. And I thought it was funny that Colby was kind of like here for it, but also standing off to the side like, I'm not really part of it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right, but it is Survivor. And so there's a lot of... basically, at this point, it felt like bag searches used to be very taboo, and now it's like you better keep an idol on your person if you have one because people are going to go through your stuff.
Sure, if you walk away from camp,
yeah,
you can't expect that it's going to be sitting there.
That's what Ozzy said last night. He's like, I have this idol. It is laying in my crotch until Jeff Probst takes it.
I would be terrible at this game because Nick says I always leave my purse everywhere and just trust everyone. And usually it's wide open.
Yeah.
It is.
I just leave my purse wide open. There's
Cash.
dollars that are coming out.
Looking at the top.
Now, who right now is really overplaying? They went in and it's too many moves, or they're trying too hard. You can spot those try too hard people.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the orange team, they're the only ones that have been to tribal, and they are all playing hard.
Because they have to.
They have to. I feel like maybe Jonathan is playing a little too hard, and I think he thinks he's being strategic, but I don't know that he is. Like, his strategy is essentially like, oh, they think I'm a one-dimensional player. I'm just, providing and doing all the strong guy stuff. And it's like, well, but yeah, that is all you're doing,
My suggestion would be Coach, only because he's come out so hot, and we know that Coach is a polarizing person, but to be at a challenge, and before challenge even starts, he says, hey, I just got to say one thing about me and my honor and Ozzy, and he doesn't have any honor, and we don't need to hear it. We've left that last week, and we're moving on to new things, and now you've drawn attention to yourself in ways that you didn't need to.
I couldn't believe he was still bringing up that beef.
I don't think Ozzy could believe it either.
Yeah, you're so right. It's Coach. He's overplaying for sure.
All right, any final thoughts?
I was glad that we got to see more of Q's personality. He is so chaotic. But he hasn't been annoying this season. He was kind of annoying in his season because he would be like, I quit, vote me out, I don't want to do it, blah, blah, blah. And then they would keep him around because it was an easy vote. I feel like we've seen a more fun version of Q, which has been really entertaining. And I think that was my only other final note.
So Q, what's different about him now is that he's dead. He's had a baby since the last time we saw him.
I didn't realize that.
And I think that's completely changed his strategy going into this season because he is a lot more cool, calm, collected, and fun. And I really enjoy the way that he and Colby ran their tribe like an old school, old era camp where they were like, you're all lazy sitting around. Who's getting firewood? Who's boiling the water? Who's like, you're all sitting here talking to each other. Angelina with your eyelashes. Like, let's get up and do something.
She's the one that got the eyelashes.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed that. That felt a little bit more old era-esque, especially when Rizzo, who is the youngest person to be playing, and he just played on season 49, was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not getting firewood. I'm going to sit here until I can play a challenge.
He's like, I cut my finger. I'm going to head back.
I got to disinfect this.
You need to save that energy, especially if a challenge is coming up.
Right.
I think my only other thought is about Savannah being voted out. I thought was a good move overall, only because, like, I want her to go home and have some time to get herself back together. She had just spent so much time on season 49 and didn't have any time.
She was at a definite disadvantage.
She was at a definite disadvantage. I think her being on 50 maybe, like, I think the short amount of time she had to make moves in conversation wasn't exactly the best look for her. I think she played such a good game in season 49 that she maybe couldn't have lived up to it in a season with so many monsters and, idols of the game, if that makes sense. And I can't blame everybody else on her tribe for voting her out because they don't know her game.
Agreed.
All right, well, we'll check in again next week where the cliffhanger is, will I watch the show?
Will Courtney tune in?
All right, this has been final. What is it again?
All girls final.
Get on
I was so proud of you for getting it
I know.
right.
I was proud of mine. I didn't even have it written down. All girls final for season 50 of Survivor.